We've called this year's edition of Mine, "The Game Has Changed," and with good reason. Mining is an exciting industry at an exciting time and enjoying exceptional growth. However, the rules of the mining game have changed as the industry has entered a new era. Despite continued strength of commodity prices, CEOs are facing diverse and complex challenges. In fact, in this year's edition, CEOs have reported that not only was 2010 challenging, but they don't expect the future to get any easier. To understand this, it's really a discussion around the changing fundamentals of the supply and demand landscape.
The extraordinary growth of the industry is being stoked by a marked increase in demand. Simultaneously, the supply is constrained, and accessing reserves is now more costly than in the past. So while it is a great time to be a miner, and the economic fundamentals of the industry have never been better, it is a time that is not without its challenges.
In last year's edition of Mine, we highlighted the growing optimism in the mining industry. Demand was driving the industry back to the boom. And 2010 results have delivered on these expectations. In fact, the results from the top 40 were spectacular. This incredible year was highlighted by a 32% increase in revenues, surpassing the 400 billion mark for the first time, net profit up 156% to $110 billion, a 59% growth in operating cash flows, leaving more than 100 billion cash on hand at year end. Total assets approaching $1 trillion. To keep up with demand, the top 40 announced more than $300 billion of capital projects, 120 billion of which is planned for 2011. This is more than double the 2010 spend. Emerging markets continue to change the face of the industry by driving demand and allowing companies to take definitive action on capital projects, mergers and acquisitions. China continues to fuel this confidence in large part, particularly with their continued ability to achieve or exceed the 7% growth target outlined in what is now their 12th five-year plan. Not to be forgotten, other rapidly growing economies such as India, Indonesia and Brazil are increasing mineral demand, which is also fueling growth for the industry.
With all this in mind, it really is a great time to be a miner. Growth projections maintain an extremely positive outlook for the foreseeable future, and the challenges faced in the 1980s and 90s are very much a thing of the past. Resource scarcity is now a reality, and building new mines and expanding existing mines to access new deposits is not getting any easier. Cost inflation, lead times and skill shortages are increasing challenges to all industry players, and no one is immune.
Last year we identified resource nationalism as an emerging issue the industry was facing globally. This was spearheaded right here in Australia with the federal government's announcement of the resource super profits tax. A year later, CEOs are seeing varied but regular occurrences of this across the globe. More than ever, companies need to deliver benefits not only at a national level, but also to local communities, an onus felt particularly by the traditional players. Talent strategies have also become imperative as companies look to meet growing demand. CEOs are faced with a continuing challenge of properly managing existing talent and securing the right talent for successful future projects around the globe, and notably in emerging markets.
Meeting global demands is now both more complex and expensive. Contributing to this are resource scarcity and declining grades, stricter government policy and costly tax regimes, increased public scrutiny surrounding a miner's licence to operate, geopolitical issues faced in non-traditional mining locations, and the ongoing struggles around talent management.
The mining industry has found itself in a new era, and there is no turning back. Emerging markets are leading bullish long-term demand projections while supply remains constrained. In essence, the industry has become more expensive to operate, and it's unlikely that this trend will end anytime soon. New players are emerging, and the industry is receiving more attention from its many and varied stakeholders. Indeed, for the mining industry, the game has changed. Despite these challenges, however, we would be remiss to not give focus to the exciting growth the industry has already achieved and will continue to achieve in the future. The landscape may be more complex to navigate and the rules of the game may have changed, but mining is an industry poised to deliver on growth aspirations for years to come.